Good morning, everybody. This is Manjunath. I head the IT for TVS Mobility Group. So I'm into this industry for the last 28 years now, for heading IT, handling across different verticals of pharma, banking, and now with the automobile industry. So just to have a quick introduction from the team. So NK, I would like to give a quick intro of yourself.
Thank you. Good morning. So this is NK Singh. I head or founded Data Center Guru. This is a company which was formed to leverage the experience and competency around improving the services around data center industry. And I thank W.Media for inviting me for this panel. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Morning, everyone. My name is Hitesh. I'm the CIO for Vodafone Idea, telco. Been in telco for almost 2 decades plus right now, so gone through the entire phase of telco from struggling to start and then multi-operator, 10-operator type of an industry, and then now finally gone down to 3-operator. Been with all the journeys of telco and been there for that, and thanks W.Media for this invitation.
Well, with a good introduction now that we have the expert from the DC as well as from the telco perspective, to start with, I would like to know how is the data center industry growing in India when compared to the global growth? NK to you.
Thank you. So as I have spent around 30 years in the industry, I have seen how the data center industry has evolved from late 90s to 2025 now, almost 2.5 decades. So this panel is more about the telcos and network and connectivity. So when we talk about in way back in mid 90s, in fact, I was involved in connectivity services where, if you remember, there was a transition happening between coax cable to the UTP cables and the fiber cables. At the time, organizations were trying to roll out the ERP solutions across different branches, warehouses, and all those stuff. Now, if you look at 2.5 decades, now where do we stand? So typically, I would say the data center or server rooms coming from kitchens and toilets to data center parks having around 200, 300 megawatt IT load capacity. As compared to network connectivity, so obviously at that time, the early 2000 and next, the telcos were the people who has spread the fiber all across India and built up that network connectivity for data center. Because one of the key component for data center is network connectivity, which must be of adequate bandwidth and also reliable. So based on that, if I look at, as of now, the data center concentration is more about the major metro cities, which we look at Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Pune, those kind of areas, which is more concentrated and the network connectivity is already in place. But the current infrastructure itself is able to support from the perspective of the uptime requirement on the telco resiliency and the quality of the network connectivity by multiple service providers which is available. However, how it is being measured on 24/7, the KPIs and all, I would expect our panelists to throw more light on that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So from coming on to starting with the data center part, what talked about by Singh. See, we go with a 3-tier architecture or a 3 type of approach we do on our data center. Because we are a telco, highly regulated, and we need to keep the customer information confidential as a PIA personal identifier data point and all that. So we run most of our application on our captive data center, which on our own we maintain up and run all the entire part end-to-end of that. Second is most of our telco network which is working. Until 3G, 2G and 3G it was not so critical, because with 4G and 5G coming up, that telco network is also becoming practically an IT network with IP driven and all that. But we need to be very close to where customers are there. So we have actually practically look at it, we have another 22 data center which is running almost all the circles, and as you know, in Indian telco, that is a 22 different countries coming comparing to Europe and other part. So all the 22 locations, we have another set of data center where we host our 4G and 5G infrastructure so that it is very close to the customer. They don't have to go to the latency and other part. Then we have an plan and architecture of moving some of our workloads onto public cloud or a private cloud operator, but maybe like or an PaaS or a SaaS as a service we are doing it. But as mentioned, we are able to do it because of the way our connectivity has improved. Multiple providers have come, good fiber network has come, even primary, second and tertiary in the connectivity as we are able to provide, ring loop and loop connectivity has been able to provide it. So over a period, what has happened is the connectivity has improved, and with the 4G and 5G coming up, more and more fiber is a must to carry the load. So that's where the spread has started coming up, and then the management and operation of that has started happening. But as we said, the biggest part it is how we do this 24/7 monitoring. And this is where initially it was all big knock room, people are sitting and monitoring the knock and then doing it. It was becoming pure man-dependent one. People making minor mistake on an update or a patch is creating a network outage and all that. And that is where we started adopting AI and AIOps on our entire operations. And then we started slowly moving on to a model called zero-touch operation. Over a period of time, we would have almost removed our entire L1 resources from both IT and network operation and moving completely onto automated jobs and AI engines and AIOps, which taking care of that. Today, we do patching across our network without any manual intervention. It is an automated script it runs. So there are a lot of such automation and AI is what helping us to maintain our network 24/7 and then ensuring that proactively it is any bugs has been identified and it has been fixed.
That's great. Now, both of you are focused on the growth pattern, both in DC sector as well as in telco sector. Now, with a lot of trust, me being from the consumption sector, where we consume all your services, both the DC and the network part. So now with the growing demand from the companies, from the customers like us, where we consume both the hybrid model, where we have our own data centers as well as we depend on a lot of service providers also for both the connectivity perspective and hosting perspective. How do you see the sustainability efforts to, now that there's a lot of thrust from the government also maintain sustainable ecosystem and all, how do you see the efforts on the sustainability front, both from the DC perspective and network perspective? How do you sustain the infrastructure to meet the growing demand? What is the efforts being taken by both the industries to meet the growing demand, keep up, ramp up as and when required, or ramp down? How do you guys do it?
Okay, so coming back to the sustainability, so the current infrastructure or data center, whatever we have, connectivity, whatever we have, how are we able to deliver the level of performance, whatever is required is already, Hitesh said about 24/7 monitoring, looking at the service level, deploying AI kind of stuff to ensure that that level of connectivity is established and performance is delivered. And as a data center consulting company in this industry, I have been meeting data center operators very frequently, and I have not seen network connectivity in the current data center scenario is a major issue from the perspective on the availability front, access front, and the performance sustainability front. So whatever performance is given, which is being able to be delivered. Now, only thing comes when the technology, because technologies are changing very fast, and how do this current infrastructure on the telco supports those dynamic changes in the technology is the key. Because let us say when we talk about, as of now, there has been a lot of talk about adaptation of AI, or people are started buying GPUs. And as the power density of the GPUs are very high, so these are typically 80 kilowatt per rack to 150 or even 200 kilowatt per rack power density. Vis-a-vis the current loading is around 6 kilowatt to around 10 kilowatt. So obviously, such kind of technology cannot be supported by a normal air-cooled kind of a requirement, which required liquid cooling. However, when we talk about the network setup in the data center, how these IT hardwares or such kind of network technology which comes to support such kind of cooling also, that you may not have to have a different set of systems for network and different set of systems for others. So that is something is being worked out. I have not seen as of now the data center, even if is being supported by liquid cooling, we are at a nascent stage, but at the same time, it is being supported by a hybrid cooling. So nowhere I have seen it is only supported by liquid and there is no air cooling system there. So air cooled systems are also there, which will support the hardwares which is supported on a air cooled environment and the liquid cooling for high density kind of requirement.
Okay, so coming to the sustainability part on the telco front, I mean, we don't look at only from an emission point of view. Yes, that is definitely, that is one part which we do when it comes to our network towers, our data center operations and everything. Yes, we have a clear focus on how best we go to renewable energy, how best we avoid the carbon emission. There are places how best we get out, move out of generator and then run only on electricity and other part are running there. But while what is one part we are running it, but what we focus more it is like, as I talked about, since we need to provide 24/7 services and almost at a 99.99% of availability, what we look at today is all the equipments and infrastructure what we are running today, or entire, is not only on the IT or not only on the network, but in our entire ecosystem, wherever we depended too much upon, say, a paper-related activity, or maybe more onto the high density or I mean, not properly used storage and servers, what we are having it. So what we do, while one set of team focus on emission and other part, or other set of people, we continuously focus on how best we eliminate some of this consumption, power consumption and other part, and then move more on to automated or move on to digital. So just one simple example I can tell you, in a month average we do almost 1 million new customer acquisition. That means maybe 7-8 years back, we all know how we want to get a mobile connection, we have to go with a photo, certain copies of your license card or passport or Aadhaar or whatever, then fill a form. It used to keep minimum 7-8 documents for one prepaid connection. And we used to run almost 25-30 warehouses only to keep this specific physical documents. Look at the power what we need, look at the cooling what we need, and the people have to be used there and all that. But today you look at it, there is no paper business for mobile connection activation. It is all digital. And it's again AI driven. Like if you have an Aadhaar, you walk into any retail outlet, all you have to give your Aadhaar number. The phone in the retailer handset will identify you either through a biometric or through a facial recognition. It will take a live photo of you and then go and authenticate the photo with the Aadhaar. And all this has been done digitally in few seconds, and there is no document is needed. And immediately the SIM is activated for the customer. So today we almost vacated lakhs and lakhs of warehouse spaces, square feet of warehouse spaces, where we used to keep documents and moved out onto a digital. Maybe like from a GPU comparison point of view, the footprint what is increased in IT for storing these documents is maybe one more rack would have got added. Not another 10 or 20 racks got added to store this information. So similarly, there are multiple other initiatives we have done, like again AI-driven IVR we have. We used to have, I mean, when you get at one point of time, IVR will fulfill only 30% of the calls and remaining 70% of the call goes to contact center. We used to run 40,000 seats contact center. Look at the size. And across the country, we used to run it. Now what we have done that, we had put AI-based IVR. That means if you are calling to our IVR, it have enough intelligence. By the time you dial, reach the main menu, we know the mobile number who is calling us. We have AI engine from the back end will find out what is the possible reason for this customer calling. Whether he had an overcharging happened, recharge had failed, or he was an international roaming, there is some kind. Before he reaches the IVR, he will get a prompt, are you calling for this, press 1. or press 2. So you don't have to come to contact center. You'll quiz, complain or anything get fulfilled there. That's again another way of we are doing on sustainability. We're removing these type of things. Today, we have only 4,000 seat contact center. So these are some of the initiatives which we are doing it from the business point of view. And then we do a lot of initiative at our own point of view. We keep optimizing our infrastructure. We keep optimizing our storage. Because if all the people in IT, if you go and look at it, take any storage in your data center, you will see only 30% of the storage is properly used. Remaining 60, 70 is having some dead data. It's a reality. I mean, I'm not joking because we realized it when there was an emergency. One of our 800 TB storage went down and the OEM raised their hands and said that this is non-usable, you need to recover from backup. And you know the 800 TB recovery and all that. When we looked at the real data, we need to recover only 300 TB. That is only where the critical application was running. When we run this entire exercise, our entire system, I mean, we run 7 floors of data center in our captive data center. When we run this exercise, our storage and the servers and everything, we are actually able to vacate 1 floor of data center, which means 2 generator I can remove it because every floor is supported by 2 generator as a backup. So we do a lot of such initiatives to meet such a requirement because some of the things it is very difficult because our major cost is always the power and on the network side. Whatever best possible we are doing it, but these type of initiatives we keep doing it at our end.
You rightly touched upon the point of the legacy data or the dead data lying on it. At least when we are storing it on the on-prem locations, people who used to be conservative or, okay, if I have to do something new, I used to at least had the practice of deleting the old data and then starting up the new project or something to accommodate. But now with the cloud and the colos and the hyperscalers coming in, so nobody bothers about deleting it out, so they just keep on dumping it. And as you rightly said, over a period of time, the data would never be touched or thing, but just for the sake of holding it, and we use the name of audit or compliance, it might be required for 7 years, 10 years and all. But now, with the very good topic of touching upon the AI and Gen AI coming in, so definitely there we are trying to adopt these technologies also into our respective domains. With that, I just want to know from NK, how are you guys implementing AI and Gen AI in your DC components, in the DC consulting space? How are you adapting those technologies? Because that's the future today, that's the future where everybody is trying to adopt this.
Okay, coming back on data center, as of now, adaptation of AI is happening for different set of applications and for the used, they are trying to do the learning for the used cases and all. When we talk about, because I am from a data center facility building background where we take care of the complete life cycle of the project from design to operational aspect of it. So if you look at from that perspective, I think we have a long way to go where we start adapting AI and start using it. Because as of now, we are at a stage where we are able to connect all the field devices together, build up an automation layer where we are able to view the status of each and every field devices connected in the data center facility. Even a lot of data center, if it is not tier 4, there is not been automated also where if something problem, automatically something else can take care of. So as of now, 90% of the data center industry is being only doing monitoring of the data center field devices and accordingly manually taking the appropriate action and taking part of it. That is one part. However, once we get matured enough in the facility layer operations, because as of now, if you look at facility layer, it is more about people-driven programs. So to get automated, first thing you have to do is process-driven program, so which you can be able to automate and make it technology-driven program. So once you become a technology-driven program, then you can be able to integrate AI and such kind of automation tools that can be beneficial. So days are not fast where those things will also come into the picture. But as you know, as of now, the AI adaptation is all on the application side of it, not on the facility layer side of it. So that's broadly from the data center perspective.
Yeah, so from a AI, Gen AI perspective, I mean, everyone knows this is the buzzword in the market today and everyone, each and anyone, even a the chip in the computer also start talking about as an AI enabled and all that. I mean, we are not, we are there in the baby steps of AI or Gen AI, I call it as. Whatever our initial study, what we have seen, most of them, the new way of talking about automation in the form of whether it's called as AI or Gen AI and all that. But practically when we done a little bit deep into it, we have seen, or we divided it into 3 areas right now. First one, what we are using it is for our own IT purpose. And this is one area we have seen Gen AI plays a good role, and especially when, as an IT people here, whoever want to do a little bit of code modernization, creating the test cases, you want to do a regression suite, automate a regression suite and all that. Today we may put some developers to write and do it, but if you use some of the Gen AI tools, at least, I'm not saying 100%, but 50 to 60% of the work is done by the tool. And today we adopt it very clearly in our, because we do a large IT development, we have around 1,200 people of developers through various partners we are working with us. And over a period of time, when we started the journey last year, by this time, we were able to almost reduce 20-25% of the resource. I'm not saying they have moved out of our account, we've given them different job or we place them in a different type of profiles. So that is one area we have seen. Second area where AI, again we can do when you want to do a lot of predictive monitoring. I mean, we have the reactive monitoring, like an incident happening, then we get into it and then fix the problem. That was our earlier way of working. Then we have proactive monitoring, like we get certain pre-alerts and other things, then we immediately take action. What we have seen, and especially in telco, this is very, very crucial because we never work on a factory model. Like if a factory have 1,000 unit capacity for a line, for every day it will produce 1,000, maybe 10 short, 10 more and all. But in the telco, the way the network behaves is completely maybe hour of a day of a week, or an IPL match. Our demand on the network, our demand on services completely changes. For example, Monday morning is the maximum recharges happens to us. So I have to ensure that that day the systems are available. And we have to have a certain latency, throughput, everything for it. And then after that it dries down. So this is where what we do in AI is typically we predict the service. We predict, okay, tomorrow is Friday, Friday evening is another peak, and what is the expected type of a recharge going to happen. And if we not getting the recharge at that particular level, it's a much, much early alarm. We can either check the system or check the business and find out what's going wrong. Or a simple example I can tell you, if my response time is say 100 milliseconds, and that is and I can go up to 2 seconds and the system won't crash. And in the peak, I may get into say 800 or 900 milliseconds. But in the morning, 8 o'clock, you are getting a response time of 900 milliseconds. It is an early alarm saying that by 10 o'clock when the peak happens, the system will collapse. So this is the one good part we've seen. We can use AI engines and Gen AI to predict the service, predict the business service. We can monitor all your system parameter based on that, and you can start seeing how the business service is going to happen. If there is any anomaly, you can fix it early. We do this very regularly in IT operation and in network operation, and that is what I said. In our 24/7 connectivity monitoring, we use a lot of Gen AI predicted service modeling, monitoring and modeling and the monitoring, and that is where we were able to identify some of the failure much, much earlier. Because some latency, something happening in a link where peak is start very late, but we were able to identify it. Last one, which the buzzword of people using all this new word of Gen AI and all that, we started exploring it in our commercial finance areas, creating some contract, creating some documents and all that. Yes, it gives some benefit, but the type of investment and the type of data which we need to share outside is a challenge there. We don't have any LLM which is native or which can work in Indian environment right now. So which is we are going with a very, very cautious way on a baby steps. We are doing it right now.
That's a pretty good insight of how you are using AI and Gen AI in your domains. Now moving forward, as per the industry stats, over the last 2-3 years, the focus was primarily on the Indian major cities where the growth was happening, both in types of data consumption as well as on the network consumption. But now with the Make in India efforts, Make in India boost that is happening across the country, a lot of startup ecosystem has come up in the tier 2 and the tier 3 cities. So with that, keeping that in mind, Hitesh, I would like to ask you, how are you guys gearing up to meet the demand from the tier 3, tier 4 cities, where we are trying to steep into all the solutions that are coming up today, the digital solutions, are trying to attract the rural people to reach to the tier 4 level. So when the focus is on reaching to the rural area where the demand of the industry will grow exponentially, so what is the efforts that telcos are making to meet that demand?
So, I think the telco has been there on the rural, and we see, if you look at it, the way the telco grown in the 2010, 2008 to 2012 time, and that is where the 2x, 3x growth of all telco had happened. And all the telcos who grown at that time, they had made a very good, deep rural penetration. And maybe that time it was more focused on how we do better sales and everything over there. And then we got the last set of customers and all that. But now the focus is changing. That's what I said. We are created, right now we have 22 data centers across the country. We are already started working, making into 80 or 100. Because we have to, right now in say, in the entire Tamil Nadu, we have only one in Chennai and another one in Coimbatore. But we already identified we have to put something in Madurai, something in Trichy, something in other places. So that has to happen because we can't take the customer requirement and that entire, whether it is the latency, whether it is the connectivity to all the way from say Kanyakumari to Chennai and then fulfill it. So we need to provide them, I'm not calling it an edge computing because we are not talking about edge computing, but we keep our facilities. I mean, on a networking, whatever the BTSS, BSS capacity which we need to put it, core capacity we need to put it close to the customer. So we have next plan is around 80 to 100 new set of data center is going on. And almost the tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities will get covered there. And primarily we work very closely with the data center companies and other to see that where they are growing, work very closely with IT companies. And after COVID, you might have seen so many offices are coming in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Accenture opening up in Coimbatore, some other companies doing in Kolhapur and all that. So these are some of them, they come to us, then we provide a connectivity for them. We worked very closely with Wipro in setting up their offices in many parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan, when their employees were mainly located from there. So this is what we are doing it. We have to bring our network and this entire core support very close to the customer.
So extending on the same lines, NK, so now that they are ramping up for the telco requirement, so how are you guys planning or the DC area growing in terms of the edge data centers? Because now gone are those days, everybody need to have a big data center, then only they can run their operations. Today with the edge concept coming in, even my kitchen, as rightly told earlier, even the kitchen can become a data center. Even one corner of your office also can become a data center. So in that growing demand, so how are you guys gearing up, or what is the efforts going on in the DC space to meet this growing demand in the tier 3, tier 4 cities?
Sure, thank you. This is very, very interesting because around 5 years back, I was on a panel on the same network and connectivity. And I asked this question because we had all the telco service providers in the panel. Data center industry has already been growing at very fast pace in double digit. Everybody knows it. So when we talk about any industry which is growing at fast pace, and obviously what ingredients it needs to be there to have a data center is typically, obviously the fiber connectivity is one of the critical power, and the land and the few resources and the emergency services kind of stuff. So if we want to make this India grow and make it inclusive, why we would like to have the data center concentrated only in major cities like Mumbai, Chennai and all those stuff? So the answer which came out at the time was, you are right, because the inclusive growth for any country is obviously when the business distributed across the country, and that's how the economy get distributed. The major bottleneck was the fiber connectivity for that, because the kind of the bandwidth and latency which is required for data centers and different service providers from different routings, those kind of stuffs were not available in all those B, C class of cities, because there we have got ample amount of land, even we can get the power, the water is not an issue, but only due to connectivity front, because that plays a very, very important role. It is becoming like in the major cities itself. As you know, every data center is like 30 megawatt, 50 megawatt, 200 megawatt. It is a kind of a heat island. So in a city, you are creating a heat island. So why can't away from the city? So the major bottleneck was the telco connectivity, because you can't have that latency, no company will afford. So that's the reason it is happening, and now coming is the next stage of evolution around data center, which is currently we are talking about centralized data center. So every processing happens in the centralized data center, may have got uh, geo level redundancy. So applications are put in clustered level for hyperscalers, and the services are, that's how the availability is created. But now the way the volume of compute and volume of data is increasing, so the centralized compute is not going to be a viable proposition, and you may not be able to get that performance which is required. So that's how the data center is becoming kind of a distributed architecture. So data center will have a centralized data center that is not going to go anywhere. But there will always be a regional data center. And then there would be more number of edge data centers. So edge data centers will have all the high volume local compute happens there. Storage also will happens there. That will be controlled and falled back on the regional data centers, and then the few consolidation happens on the centralized data centers. Okay. Now, when we talk about edge data centers, so there has been a lot of talk already in the industry, and this is not today, it is happening for a couple of years now. But we have gone to a stage where we are talking about regional data centers which is being built now. You can see a lot of companies, they are building the data center in B-class cities. The capacities are not as big as the current metro, but yes, capacities are 5 megawatt, 10 megawatt kind of capacities are being built. So that level of network and those stuffs are being built. But when we talk about edge data center, that's where we need the last mile connectivity and numbers everywhere and that level of performance. So, I mean, I may not be able to directly answer or respond to that because Hitesh can be able to throw more thing about it. But that is something which is required. So, all the MSCs what telco had earlier, now all they converted into IP switching. So it has become a data center. They call it as data centers. So earlier they call it machine switching center, MSCs, now it become as data centers. And that's how when they talked about major telco, they have got hundreds of edge data centers already connected through different links, microwave, fiber, and even 5G connectivity and all. Edge is also important because when we talk about automation, IoTs, and a real automated, like automated car, so resiliency of network is very, very important in those kind of cases. And last mile connectivity through whatever, wireless, 5G, and other way. So obviously, that is a maturity cycle which we are going in. But whenever we talk about telco infrastructure is a physical layer, it takes time. It's always better, I think you must have been already working on some kind of thing, and if you can appraise to other audience.
Yeah, I think as we have seen, and as I mentioned also, like reaching out to rural and reaching out to tier 2, tier 3 cities is the bigger challenge. But I think the simple answer for all that is how best we collaborate. Because today, if you look back when the telco started, everyone used to build their own towers for doing the connectivity. But over a period of time, we all moved, and then companies like Indus, ATS, and all came, and then we all moved sharing that. It's again, from a sustainability point of view, it's a big, big saving on the fuel emission and every part. Second, even now we talked about fiber, which is the prime critical component for establishing connectivity. And telling you, it's not that we put fiber from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Yes, we put Kashmir to Kanyakumari through one route, maybe Airtel put another route, Jio will put another route, and we three share the fiber. Is that fiber at that level of capacity available? And similarly, say for example, like all the four southern states of us, whether it's Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra, we have multiple loops. One loop will be with us. One may be from Chennai to Cochin to Bangalore, Hyderabad. Then others maybe from Jio, something may come from the different route. So this is the way we are establishing multiple connectivity. And I think the single word is collaboration. And like whether it's a data center, whether it is the MSC location, the more you collaborate, these type of 100% available connectivity we will be able to provide.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think that gives a good insights of what we are doing today and what is it doing. Keeping a last question with last 1 minute to be covered. We have already come to the edge data centers, 5Gs and all. So what do you see the future in the next 2 to 3 years? What else is the technology predicted in your respective domains or technology adoptions, or what could be the futuristic change that we as customers can expect from the industries of yours?
I think it will be, see, but as I said, it will be more AI-enabled network features and the use cases, and the products and offerings will start coming. Okay, if you look at it from a single telco player, today we play all the OTTs and everything through us. And we start collaborating with them, we start subscribing through them, and there are multiple features they're bringing. So ultimately, telco, today we may think that is we provide the best connectivity, everything. I think we will slowly move just as a back-end carrier. And what we bring more will be a customer-facing and more of a customer engaging type of an application, and services will run there, and we'll just become a carrier, and then we'll finally become a telco.
Yeah, I agree. Telco being a carrier, specifically purely on a physical layer, so obviously it is a physical infrastructure project which they have to run. And the future, what I see is more and more networks would be spread across deeper and deeper into the different part of India. And another part is when we talk about technology and when we are looking at the adaptation of technology, on different layers from edge to the centralized data center on different applications. We are not only going to talk about only the fiber connectivity and so on. It is going to be a multi-dimensional connectivity and kind of a hybrid which would also be supported by 5G or 6G, whatever technology will come in future, and also the fiber. And that's how you can be able to connect and reconnect all the edge devices, edge data centers, regional data centers, and the centralized data centers.
I think that's a wonderful note to conclude it. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your inputs and insights. I am sure it had been a good insights and learning for the crowd here. Unless we have a time for one question from anybody, if you would like to ask to the panel here. If anybody wants to ask a question, or fine, we are here down, we can connect also, we can interact. And I think we are done with it, right? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.